G'day trendsetters, John with Gravel Cyclist. Today I'm reviewing the ENVE G23 carbon disc brake gravel wheel set. Now this is ENVE's take on a gravel specific wheel set designed to cater to the rigours of riding and racing on gravel roads. At a claimed weight of 330 grams, the G23 rim is ENVE's lightest 700C specific tubeless compatible rim. At such a low weight, the G23 rim promotes excellent acceleration and climbing properties, but more than just that, the rim also features the company's patent-pending Wide Hookless Bead technology. This technology is designed to mitigate the chance of pinch flatting, and as the G23 name suggests, it also measures 23mm internally. As you may have noticed, this wheel set already has a set of tyres, and it happens to be the Panaracer Gravel King SK tyre in 700C by 38mm. In fact, this is the exact tyre and wheel set combination that I raced at this year's 2018 Dirty Kanza 200 gravel race. Ordinarily, I would weigh these wheels on my gram scale live on video, but because I kind of messed up the sequence of filming, you'll have to forgive me. I did take photographs, however, of the bare wheels on my gram scale. Now, the front wheel weighed 594 grams and the rear weighed 698 grams for a total combined weight of 1292 grams. That is extremely impressive for a gravel specific carbon rim wheel set. On to the wheel specs. At the heart of this wheel set is the DT240S hub set, but you can order these wheels with Chris King hubs if you so desire. This pair of wheels is designed for center lock disc brake mounting, and front and rear both wheels feature 24 DT Aerolite spokes. Now if you choose the DT switch option, the hubs are available with the SRAM XD driver or the Shimano 11 speaker set body, which is what I have in this version in front of you. Other specs about the wheel set: the rim depth is 25mm, and I mentioned earlier it's 23mm internally, and I'll overlay some photographs so you can see those details better closer up. And the outside width is 31.5mm. Accepted tyre width on the G23 wheel set is 700C by 35 to 700C by 45, or in the case of this pair of tyres, 700C by 38mm. And finally, ENVE have put together this really sweet tyre pressure recommendation chart, which I will link in the video description below, which provides a guideline to what tyre pressure you should be running on these wheels, or any wheel set for that matter. Now, whilst there are tyres already mounted to the wheel set in this particular scene, I did happen to film the inflation process, which I'll show to you in a moment, but the tyres themselves were a complete piece of cake to mount to these rims. There was no struggle with tyre levers, they popped on nice and easy. I've got my trusty Bontrager TLR flash charger pump. The cylinders are pre-charged to 120 psi. I've also taken the liberty of removing the valve core. I always find that helps with inflation and getting the tyre to pop onto the rim. So without further ado, let's release the pressure in the cylinder, and hopefully I'll pop this Panaracer Gravel King onto the G23 front wheel. That sounds like a bit of success there. I've got a little bit of leaking sealant out the side, but it's holding air well. Now, the fun part comes with swapping the valve core in and out real fast. So, get it ready to go. That's right there. I'm going to swap this live into the valve. Hopefully I don't mess this up. Takes a bit of juggling, this does. Hopefully you can see this. Got it. Perfect. And just tighten down the valve. Beautiful. It's got about Let's have a look actually. It's got about 35 psi, something like that. That's about 30 psi, so I would ordinarily run the front wheel at 32 psi for someone of my body weight. And there you go, it's already there. And the rear wheel I would run at 35 psi. And if you're wondering, I weigh about 155 to 160 pounds, depending on what's been going on. I absolutely love center-lock disc brake hubs because they make swapping rotors so easy, which is really important for a guy like me because I'm always swapping rotors between wheels and wheels between bikes and such. Now, in this example, I have a Shimano Dura Ace 160mm rotor. 160mm is my preferred size of rotor. I just plonk it onto the spline, take a lock ring, just lightly thread it on until it starts to bite. And now I'm not going to tighten to torque spec in the video, but you get the point. Just use your favorite lock ring tool and away you go. I've referred to this before on the Gravel Cyclist YouTube channel, and that's the fact that I like to race the product I'm reviewing wherever possible. Now, unlike a friendly training ride, you don't always have the option of picking and choosing your own line. You've got riders around you, that sort of thing. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, this was my wheel set at this year's 2018 Dirty Kanza 200 gravel race. So, rather than keep rambling on here, I'm going to run some footage from the race and I'll talk about my experience with the wheels and how they held up at the race and beyond on some other training rides. Finishing a race such as Dirty Kanza is a challenge. Negotiating the terrain, hydration, nutrition, and metering your effort across 200 miles are among the things you have to do in order to be successful. On race day, I don't want to think too much about my bike other than to avoid trouble. I spent a lot of time in the weeks leading up to the race preparing my bike, which was ridden with the ENVE G23s during one of my last big training rides. This scene comes from the early miles of Dirty Kanza 200, and as you can see, I'm riding the ENVE G23 wheels. For those who haven't ridden Dirty Kanza, the gravel roads of the Flint Hills are a mix of rocks, gravel, dirt, and like the name implies, flint. There isn't much you can do about a tyre sidewall cut from flintstones, but you can mitigate the risk of pinch flatting by running appropriate tyre pressure, which is the most overlooked factor in this genre of cycling. The G23s hold up well to riding through water and sludge, which is important as you never know what's at the bottom. With that said, I generally avoid submerging wheel and bottom bracket bearings. At this race, I finessed the bike over obstacles such as rocks, potholes, cattle grates, and everything else. In my case, I prefer to ride slower and pick better lines and avoid trouble versus running the risk of puncturing or bottoming out a rim in the name of saving a few microns of a second. There's enough on a rider's plate come race day, but once I got rolling and my race nerves settled down, I never once gave any thought to my bike's wheel set. That's how it should be. The G23 was bang on reliable all day, and to further bring that point home, the wheel set proved equally reliable for these guys at the race too. In summary, I believe ENVE has done an excellent job in filling a gap in the marketplace for a true mixed surface wheel set with the G23. And by that I mean, usually most mountain bike wheel sets are overbuilt and consequently quite heavy, whereas a lot of road wheel sets are a little bit underbuilt and not quite up to the task. Ideally, a mixed surface wheel set should feature strength, durability, reliability, and a weight that closely resembles a road wheel set, but at the same time feature a rim that allows you to run lower tire pressures, but without the risk of damaging the rim or getting pinch flats. ENVE certainly know their way around carbon fiber rims. They've been manufacturing them for years in Utah, and they have proven to be durable over the space of time. In fact, this is the third such ENVE wheel set I've ridden on a gravel bike, the other two being the SES 4.5 AR, which is a road wheel set, and those wheel sets featured on some former review bikes I had in my possession, the Niner RLT9 RDO and the Allied Cycleworks Alpha All Road. Be sure to check the video description below for details on those bikes. During my review period with the ENVE G23s, they have remained in true as the day I received them, which is nice considering I haven't exactly been too kind to them. My only negatives with this wheel set, and it applies to all ENVE wheel sets, is the internal spoke nipples. That means in order to true them, you're going to have to remove the tyre, remove the rim strip, and then use a nipple driver to true the wheel set. That is definitely a consideration for some riders who will balk at the thought of this type of maintenance. Now, with that said, I know of many riders who have ridden ENVE wheels for years without any problems. The final consideration for the ENVE G23 wheel set is its price. Now, if you have to ask, you probably don't want to know. Priced at about US $2,800, it's expensive, but ENVE wheel sets are renowned as being the cream of the crop of wheel sets, and their warranty certainly reflects that as well. So if you happen to damage this rim on a rock during one of your mixed surface rides, ENVE will cover the repair under warranty. Considering the nature of mixed surface cycling, that is pretty awesome. ENVE also include their loyalty guarantee, which covers everything outside of the warranty at 50% off MSRP. Now that covers events such as, say, if I was to drive this car over this wheel set and destroy it completely. Finally, I hope you found this review to be helpful and insightful. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Gravel Cyclist YouTube channel and be sure to check out everything else associated with the site at gravelcyclist.com and the other social media entries on Instagram and Facebook. I'll see you in the next video.